one of the things that we do before we meet with you in person is we check you out on the internet. And I think sometimes people aren't thinking about that. So we're going to check your Facebook, right? We're going to check, we're going to Google you, right? And maybe hopefully we're going to check in that you have a LinkedIn and that you're utilizing it. Because I think that before we're even going to know who you are, step in the door, I want to know who you are and what's the brand of yourself that you put out there to the World Wide Web. And so that's one of the first steps is kind of, if I see someone, all I see are partying pictures of themselves on Facebook, probably going to be tough for them to be a trainer and hold people accountable to be a lifestyle that's going to be good. And I'm also worried are you going to show up on time, right? So if you come back to and I kind of, it's interesting you said three things. I sort of look at there being three key areas that we look at for a trainer, right? So the first is science. And I want you to have a good background. It doesn't have to be at the highest level. It doesn't have to be a master's degree. Because I think sometimes people that have such a high level of science, I want your science to be up here, but you got to be able to talk about it down here.
Right.
Right? So one is having the science, but when we interview, can you speak to me in a way that's going to impact a client or the traditional client? Yeah, you're going to have some science-based clients that want to get into all the nitty-gritty, but that's 1-2%. Right? So one is science. The other one is service. And how do you have experience in service? And if you don't, we sort of I have an acronym that we use to kind of check on how good is someone going to be at service, right? So the acronym is TRAIN. So one is timely. So the number one thing I can tell you that's going to blow up your interview, if you show up late, you're done. You got to be on time because we're expecting that the way that you show up for an interview is the way that you're going to show up for your clients. So 5 minutes early is on time, and if you're on time, you're late. It's the way that we kind of look at it, right? The R is ready. How prepared are you for this interview? Like, one of my first questions that I'll go to, depending on the gym, and let's say if it's a Crunch, say, why are you choosing to get a personal trainer job at Crunch? And it's very open, and the reason I'll ask that is I'm checking to see, have you done your homework about, what do you know about Crunch? What do you know about personal training at Crunch? Do you know anybody here? Have you talked to anybody? Have you gone in and actually worked out at Crunch? Like, those are the things that I'm going to look at. How ready, how prepared are you for this interview? The next is A, which is attentive. And the thing that I want to make sure that we got good eye. I mean, one of the things that I'm finding especially with millennials now, is eye contact is becoming kind of a thing of the past. We're all used to being on our phones and texting and not even communicating. I have a funny story with my son who's 15, and he was trying to set up a tennis match with his buddy, and his friend hadn't returned the text. And I'm getting ready to drive the car to go take him there. I said, well, why don't you call him? He goes, Dad, I'm not going to call him about a tennis match. Right? It's just like this is the thing that I just think we're having to re-educate millennials that personal interaction, calling, talking to people, that's what's sort of the norm. That's what's expected. And the living on your cell phone and looking down all the time is not, we have to break that. So if that's what you're used to and you can't have good eye contact and smile and seem engaging, it's going to be a fail on the attentive piece, right? The I is inspiring. I look, when I sit across from someone, is this someone who's inspiring me that I want to go train with them? Or I would pay for training for my wife or my mom or my kids to go be with this trainer, right? And so have you talked about it, and do you hold yourself in an inspiring manner? And then finally, the last one is noble. And noble, really kind of the definition that I think of is worthy of admiration or excellent. Like, so if I'm sitting across, like, is this someone that I would admire? Like the things that they've accomplished, things they're doing, is it admirable? So that's kind of the way that I do the test for service is train, and then and I look at kind of a triangle. So we've got two corners. The two S's is science and service, and the last S is sales. And sales is I'm going to test it. How well are you at selling me that you should be a trainer for us? Because that's an interview is two-way sales. I still got to sell you on the fact that Crunch is the best place to be a trainer. There is an element that I have to make you excited about it, but man, you got to make sure that I'm feeling it. I want to make that presentation to you about coming and working here, because if I'm not feeling it from you, then I'm not going to be feeling it. So I think that sales piece, sometimes there's a lot of trainers who will say that, I don't want to sell, I just want to change lives, right?
So frequent.
Right? But the issue is, how many lives are going to be in front of you? How many lives will you have a chance to change if you can't get someone to be inspired to want to work with you and sell? So so if you kind of come back to the interview piece, it's kind of sales, science, service are what we're looking at. And as far as any of them being heavier than the other, if it's a triangle, I want someone right in the middle. I want someone who's really well-rounded on all three aspects of those things.